Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Whitney and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I am Tennille.
And I am Whitney. Today we are taking a look at the Australian film Sarah and the Squirrel, also known as The Seventh Match. This was made to be viewed by Yoram Gross. I don't know if we've...
That was an odd way of saying that.
Yeah, I almost said it was given to us by Yoram Gross. Which,
that would be quite an honor.
Yeah.
Especially considering how poorly we've reviewed all of his films.
Spoilers. I don't think this one's getting a better score.
No, not really.
I gotta say, I don't think Gross is the correct person for the job here, for what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But I do want to say kudos for trying.
Kudos for trying. This movie's heart is in the right place. I just really don't think that this team was equipped to pull this off.
No, all 6 people that worked on this movie with their budget of $5.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the bigger issues with the film. Could they have done something good with a small budget? Probably, but what they tried to do with their budget didn't pan out in the correct way.
Well, I think it's just a problem of they have such a small team of fairly inexperienced artists trying to pull off something a little bit more grand than what they can handle. I think if they tried to pull back the scale a bit, or just kept their limitations in mind, they could probably pull something off that's better than this. I feel bad because it's a small team. I don't want to be punching down, and they're trying to do something meaningful and impactful, but I think not only on an artistic level, but on a story and theming and messaging level, it also falls flat a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that, especially with the kind of tone it's going for, which is, pretty dark and sad, it's still way too childish for adults to really enjoy, and even, I think, a lot of children. I think it's sometimes too childish for even children to enjoy.
The movie's very wishy-washy. It's trying to be appealing that kids will want to watch the movie, but also be dark and sad because they're trying to tell a message that's dark and sad, but it can't commit to either of these very well, and it just kind of makes the movie kind of muddled and bad.
By the way, we should talk about what this movie's about.
Yeah, this is a sad movie about World War II. So, how about we do a plot synopsis?
Yeah.
So, it's World War II. It has come to country. I don't know where this is supposed to take place.
Yeah, they never really set the scene on where this movie takes place. That's another thing about the dialogue in this movie, is that it almost feels like it was originally written in a different language than English. But I know it wasn't. This is the original version. Mm-hmm. So, it just feels like there's details or, weird translations when I know that's not the case.
Yeah. Sarah and her family flee into the woods to escape the war. And they dig a big pit and cover it with sticks, and they hide in the pit to avoid the war. Unfortunately, Grandma gets sick, so Dad goes to town to get her some medicine.
But Nazis are occupying the town.
Oh, not Nazis, just generic bad guys.
Yeah, I
there
mean, the
are no
movie...
swastikas shown anywhere.
True, but they're Nazis.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Spoilers, Dad doesn't come back.
Yeah.
And then Sarah goes out to pick some nuts off of a bush. I don't think that's where nuts usually grow, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Well, it doesn't matter.
Whatever.
While she's out getting nuts, the bad guys come and take Mom and Grandma, and she has to watch them get loaded into a truck and taken away.
Sorry, this is a very serious moment you're describing, but while we're talking about the nuts...
Okay.
In general, I don't know where this movie is supposed to be taking place, But a lot of the, like, wildlife that we see in this film, I'm like, aren't those North American?
Well, you're getting confused.
I am getting confused.
Okay.
If you could clear it up, that would be great.
So, the animals that we see in this movie are generic animals like squirrels and wolves and could be anywhere across Europe or, I don't know, maybe Australia.
But also I feel like wolves have been extinct from a lot of Europe for quite a while.
Yeah. Later, there's a dream sequence where there are actively North American-only animals in it.
Right.
And that's the part that's confusing.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of, like, ducks and geese where I'm like, I think those are only North American, and then, like, caribou.
More incriminating are the moose.
Yeah.
And buffalo.
Yeah. I'm just like, what?
In case people are unaware, the continental North America was not a location where fighting happened in World War II.
Not like Nazi occupation, anyway.
Yeah, that was pretty much Europe. Maybe Australia? I genuinely don't know.
This definitely does not take place in Australia, though.
Yeah. So, yeah, now Sarah's alone because her family's been taken away. She was told to never let anyone see her, so now she just lives alone in the woods in her pit. And she sees some guys go and attempt to blow up the local bridge that the train goes across.
That's bringing supplies to the
Tanks
army.
and guns, as they repeat over and over again.
Yeah.
And them attempting to blow up the bridge goes horribly. All the guys die.
Sarah watches all this happen.
And then she's like, you know what? If I overheard them and said that if the bridge is destroyed, that'll stop the war.
Well, yeah, she overhears them talking and kind of extrapolates from that.
Oh, yeah. So she decides that she's going to take down the bridge brick by brick using a hammer.
Yeah.
Like a chisel and hammer, which she does very slowly. And then...
Slow enough winter comes.
Well, she falls asleep at one point under the bridge, and this is where she gets a dream sequence where there's a bunch of North American animals around. She has a little bit of a song. She kind of sing-songs a few lines, but it's very poor. And then these anthropomorphic pterodactyl demon things come in and burn the forest down, and then they like grab her and change into the bad guys. Like, obviously the bad guys are coming and destroying everything. Yeah, we get it.
Right.
Anyways, yes, eventually winter comes and the bridge still doesn't get destroyed, so she falls face first in the snow and almost dies, except for the squirrel, who she's vaguely befriended throughout the movie, comes and wakes her back up.
Yeah.
And then...
the squirrel, like, breathes on her.
Yeah, it breathes on her, and then she's like, oh, I should get up and not die in the snow, I guess. And then a really big train comes, and the bridge is destroyed because it collapses under its weight.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, yay, the war is over. It's not. Then there are soldiers that hunt her down with a dog. She is saved by a wolf, who was briefly seen earlier in the movie. One of the soldiers somehow shoots the other soldier in the ankle, and they leave.
Somehow,
Yeah.
this is wild.
Yeah, like, the aim is completely off.
He is pointing at the dog, and the other soldier is next to him.
Standing next to him, and then his rifle somehow shoots through the other guy's ankle at, like, almost perpendicular to the ground angle. Or not perpendicular, but parallel to the ground. And I'm like, how did you do that? I've heard magic bullets described when talking about the JFK assassination, but that's a magic bullet.
That's a magic bullet if I've ever seen one.
So anyways, the soldiers leave and she lives forever in the woods. The end.
Okay, yeah, we have to talk about the bookends for this movie, too. The movie starts with a live actress...
who is also the voice actress for the character.
Sarah, yeah. and she's talking about how this is a true story. And then, at the very end, it has Sarah walking off into the woods, all sad, because she realizes that she hasn't stopped the war. And then the live actress...
She transforms back into the live actress.
And the live actress is like, Sarah is still out in the woods today. If you ever hear a rustling of leaves while you're walking in the woods, spare a thought for Sarah, because she's still out there. And I'm like,
It's also very heavy-handed, like, this is a story about all the children that go through bad times in wars and stuff. And I'm like,
right.
I get what you're trying to do. Yes, I understand war is bad.
Again, your heart is in the right place. But, like, this just rubs me the wrong way.
It just doesn't work very well, because they're trying to make this for children. And children won't want to watch this movie, because when it's not boring, it's overly scary for no reason, and also it just pulls its punches in all the important ways.
Yeah. Like,
it doesn't really tell us anything about what happened. It's too ambiguous, and this is a kind of story that needs to be very direct and to the point and in your face, being serious. And I think there's a way to do that for kids, but this movie is not that.
It's talking down to them in a way that I don't appreciate. It's...
Yes.
Like, it's putting a nice coat of paint on a lot of things that, like, realistically Sarah would have seen. And, like, I don't think that this needed to be brutally realistic. I just think it also didn't need to end with, and Sarah is still out there in the woods today. Because, like, okay, there's a lot this movie does not give us in terms of information. But, like, we can assume that Sarah's family is probably Jewish.
Yeah.
And to, like, mystify Sarah and make it so she's, like, some imp living out in the woods now, it just feels very disingenuous and not a great thing to tell kids about, like, what happened to kids during World War II.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Anyway, this was directed by Yoram Gross with, you know, like we said earlier, his staff of, like, 10 people, maybe.
At least 2 other people also had the last name Gross, so...
It's a family thing.
Yeah, so I don't know if those are his children or his spouse, but, like, yeah, it's like there are multiple Grosses working on this film.
Right. I did some digging to see if this was based on any kind of true story, since that's what the movie claimed, is that it is based on a true story. Or no, that it is a true story. And I'm like, I don't think a squirrel, woke up a girl in the middle of the snow. But, you know, maybe there's some modicum of truth.
Maybe there was a girl that lived in the woods and broke a bridge down or something during World War II.
Like, that still seems very far-fetched, but, like, I searched for that kind of story. I didn't find anything. I searched for this name. There's even a credit at the end of the movie that says that this was in association with Sarah Enterprises Pty Ltd. And I was like, okay, is this some kind of, like, foundation based on this person's life? Did a search, found absolutely nothing but a bunch of, like, construction companies. Like, there's just, like, nothing in the Wikipedia page, nothing nowhere to suggest that this is based on a true story whatsoever.
So I'm going to assume it was truly just a story and not a true telling of something that happened in real
someone's life, yeah.
Unless someone in the comments can prove us wrong.
In which case, this should definitely be added to the film's Wikipedia page. But yeah, I could find absolutely nothing to suggest that this was based on a true story whatsoever.
The movie itself as usual, is drawn animated characters on live action backgrounds. And I don't know, I guess that part is getting better, but their budget is very little, so there's so much repeated animation. And this one in particular has a bunch of stock footage. Just like stock footage everywhere. They had one musician work on this movie who played the clarinet, and at multiple times in this movie, we just watch him silhouetted on trees playing the clarinet for like a minute or two. The acting from Sarah, and I guess everybody, was not very good.
There's a famous classical song this movie kept using a lot, and
It was in the credits.
Yeah, I don't remember which...
It was probably free.
Well, yeah, because it's like classical music, so it's been public domain for a really long time now. But yeah, I don't remember which one it is in particular. The audio balancing was also very, very off because the music and the sound effects were very loud, while
Sarah herself sometimes was literally whispering.
not like stage whisper, where like you can tell by the intonation of like how people are talking that this is a whisper, but no, instead she would literally be whispering, and I have to get really close to the mic so you can even hear me.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
And it's like saying what are probably important lines, but we could really not hear anything that she said half the time.
Right.
So,
So it was either getting blasted by the music or not hearing what Sarah is saying in a film that already does not have a ton of dialogue. So you're constantly swapping between the two.
She's the only character.
Yeah.
Technically, like, her parents were in the movie, but, like, not for long. Also, Sarah and the squirrel, she interacts with the squirrel maybe 3 times, but they're trying to name it in a similar fashion to their other movies like Dot and the Kangaroo and things like that.
Well, okay, but it has a different name too, which is Sarah and the 7 Matches.
No, it's just the 7th match.
The 7th match.
Because after her family leaves, she has 7 matches to use on a candle in her house. Or pit.
in her little dug pit. Like, I get what the matches are going for symbolically, but the movie doesn't really commit to that, so...
And it skips them. It doesn't work very well.
Right. It's just like, I have 7 matches, and then at the end of the movie, without any other mention of the matches, really, it's just like,
I'm going to use this last one.
The last match. And it's just kind of like, yep, I get it. She's dying in the woods. Got it. Just like the matches. All right.
Yeah.
But... again, the movie doesn't really do anything with that. So, I don't know. I feel bad for ragging on this one because I do think its heart is in the right place. Sometimes your heart can be in the right place and you just don't.
The end product doesn't work.
Right. Yes. Thank you. Anyway.
Well, with that out of the way, join us back here next time as we finish this year up.
Yeah.
And some of you who actually look at the list to see what movies are coming up might be saying, wait, what? And I'm like, yes, we are going to be watching not 1, not 2, but 3 South Korean films next time.
And we'll talk a bit more about that next time as well.
So join us next time for a triple feature.
Triple feature.
Oh, please, God, hear my prayer and make them stop the war. The voice of the wind is calling.